Blog Talk Radio.
Hey guys, this is Those Guys with your host, Matt Marrero, along with your other host.
Satish Ram was watching football.
Yes, doing a live Gravity Falls podcast. The newest episode.
Football podcast?
Yeah, right. As the game goes on, Grunkle Stan pranks other tourist attractions. Right? Nope, wrong show.
I mean, it makes sense. The football game is going on while Stan is doing all that stuff. Because this is going on in Indianapolis, and that episode went on in Oregon. So...
Yes. I agree with all of that. I understand.
The Jets are winning. I'm happy. That's it. That's really it.
Okay. All right, cool. Yeah, us being from New York and you being a Jets fan, okay. We're all really winning. Yeah, I don't know. All I know is I watched the newest episode of Gravity Falls, and it was really, really good. And I really enjoyed the message, and I'm very happy that they understood to clear themselves up because with some of the shows that we watch, sometimes I feel like they don't give a good message necessarily, quote-unquote. And, they also don't end up clearing themselves up. So it kind of leaves this really weird interpretation for possible kids that are watching. Because, some of the stuff that we watch is not only for, it's kind of a family experience for some of the shows. So instead of just giving that whole oh, yeah, this is a great message for everyone, it's kind of, yeah, really good guy does really bad thing. Everyone's okay with it. And if it's, in Gravity Falls, it's happened for comedic purposes, and I understand that. But I'm really happy that that this time around, they had a message, and it was really a really good message personally. And I think that's something that everyone can learn from.
Yeah, so. I was pleasantly surprised because I know that in kid shows we have this thing where we talk about all right, so there's going to be some lessons and morals and things to be learned in certain episodes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really cool. In a recent Steven Universe episode, you can say, the idea, sometimes you don't always, it's okay to be nervous, and it's okay not to go through with something. It's okay to back out. And the idea of, the general things that we hear, do unto others as you want to have them do unto you, et cetera, et cetera. For Gravity Falls to address relationships, flirting, confidence, the dynamic here, I was pleasantly surprised because it does take a little more in terms of I assume they recognize that this is targeted for kids that are a bit older, and not us older, I mean preteen and up-ish area. And I referenced that because I think it's a really relevant discussion to point out to not only people who are sitting there oh, how do I talk to, the opposite sex, but also those who are too comfortable talking to the opposite sex and may not consider, ramifications of what they're doing. And so I was really impressed that they got the green light to go through with a moral and a storyline like this and address it with such depth and honesty.
It's something that you don't see a lot.
Yeah, that's why. So I have to give them credit for that. And generally, I give the show, enough credit as is. But I like that. I like that this was as a straight filler episode. This was pretty character development notwithstanding. It was a straight filler episode, and even the two decoded cipher things were just straight filler type jokes. So that's cool. It was worth watching. It was kind of a warm feeling thing. And I like that, we've got a little bond building between Dipper and Stanley, which was otherwise lacking earlier in the series. Not that it had to be filled, but it's kind of a nice thing to see.
Yeah, and they made a lot of jokes about it lacking. I think the only time that Dipper ever really got close to Stan was when Mabel was in Dipper's body, trying to ruin Dipper from the inside. Literally.
No, yeah, it was totally, and it was all about the pituitary gland. He may seem little, but he's got big plans.
It was just perfect. Shut up, old man. You're great, I love you. You had me at shut up, old man. It was just oh my God. It was just damn it. damn it, because that's how we were, so it was really nice to have them bond over something. But when I mentioned the whole self-correction thing, or the whole, the way they, elaborate further, right, it's the idea that I was really worried at one point that the episode was going to end on the moral, don't be confident. I was confused because we did have, the Spider-Woman, the woman spider, the spider, we did have it mention, people like you with your confidence, and so it threw me off. I was like, wait, is the moral going to be don't be confident, or, oh yeah, those confident, cocky jerks? Because, I'm sure you've noticed this sometimes, and this doesn't happen all the time, but sometimes in shows or movies, it seems as if the people who are confident are always pieces of shit. As if for some reason.
It's
right?
significant.
Yeah.
Because I mentioned to you, I felt kind of weird in some of the episode, and this is not me taking away from the episode of the moral itself, but up until that kind of warm wrap-up, I think, at the end, it was a little bit weird for me because, not that I'm complimenting being a player, but I will consistently say to people around me and people who ask me for advice that it is okay to fake a little confidence. It's okay to bring carry yourself with a little bit of authority in the sense of be proud of who you are, regardless of what you've got to be proud of. Be proud of who you are. Carry yourself with a little confidence. Fake it till you make it makes a lot of sense to me. It really does. And I'm not saying lie. I'm saying, carry yourself with a little bit of swagger, a little authority. So it was weird for me that it almost seemed for a moment that it was don't do that. Go back to being timid and don't talk to anybody. And if you want to be timid, that's totally cool on you. That's your thing, and I respect that.
No.
But I thought that was a weird spin before they ended it the way they did.
Yes, because I understand someone saying, be yourself, but again, no one is saying to go out there and go, not only am I confident, I do not watch Japanese anime. It is silly, and I would never even trifle with the stuff. No one's saying...
That's what I mean.
Right, no one's saying that. Mm-hmm. It's just the idea that it's just, versus I kind of like anime, but it's really sort of stupid versus I watch anime, and what's your point? And someone possibly taking that second one, minus a little bit of there was a little bit of animosity in the second one, to be fair, so sorry about that. But the general idea is that I watch anime.
Raising all feelings, are we, Matthew?
Right? Yeah, right? No, right. It's just yes, I watch anime, that's what I do.
No,
right?
yeah,
and
look.
Someone taking that more...
I understand that
more
completely.
Mm-hmm.
No, because I understand that completely as someone who generally has what the general public would, I guess, identify as diverse interests, where I'm sitting here watching a football game and I'm podcasting about a children's television show with strong mystery and humor undertones. But, it's a thing where I feel the need to defend it. It's Detective. But, that joke I thought was funny, too, if you go back a few episodes, when, Stan is defending Gravity Falls to...
Yeah,
Stanley
we talked about that, yes.
Yeah, and that kind of feeling. The idea of, different strokes for different folks. People like different things, and it's okay to like a whole bunch of different things, because I can go ahead and have an hour conversation about the football game that I just watched, and I probably will with some people, but right now I'm talking about Gravity Falls, which is totally fine, and I'm not saying that everyone has to be balanced either, but just there's definitely certain judgments that get cast on different, I guess, hobbies or likes, where we know the stigmas that place on people who watch anime or animated television, all that stuff.
Yeah, we mentioned this in Dungeons and More Dungeons in our review of that.
And
but
Dipper
talking about this,
that role. Dipper fits that role,
yes,
right, in the sense of Dipper. He, in contrast, and this is shown constantly throughout the series in terms of Dipper versus Mabel. Dipper being the more bookwormy, more
introvert
smart type. Introvert versus Mabel being arguably street smart. I don't know if we want to say that, but more, at least
extrovert.
At the very least, the introvert versus extrovert thing, and that's something that's made a point of too. Mabel's always got her two friends tagging along too. Dipper doesn't necessarily have that. He's got Seuss as a buddy, but he hasn't acquired new friends essentially as Mabel has, and they're become her partners in crime. Relevant again in this episode. Because as they're taking this RV trip, Grenda and Candy are coming.
Exactly. No, they also have to sign those waivers. Also, hopefully none of their parents are lawyers. But when you look at the situation, I really do feel like sometimes, interestingly enough, it doesn't matter what you like. It matters how you tell someone you like it.
I agree with that completely. I really do.
It's very interesting. Some of the time. I mean, I will admit, there's a chance that whenever I mention the fact that here's what Super Sentai is, right, and I go off on it, people are like, I see.
No, yeah,
right?
I understand that. Because I can go to people and be like, yeah, this is what hentai is. And some people will sit there and be like,
Super Sentai.
I see.
I said,
and no, that's what I said too. I don't know what you heard.
No, you were referencing a chicken
wearing
a bow tie, and I was referencing superheroes and spandex.
I don't know what you think you heard, but it's nice to know where your mind is, Matthew, as we podcast about a children's show tonight. Thank you. But more
all I know is I said it with confidence, so everyone agrees. Because
yeah.
that's what the lesson was. No, it wasn't. That was
it's funny, but swinging back, like early on, I thought I was really confused at the inclusion of Candy and Grenda at first, because I was like, what exactly? It's like, that's cool, but what are they going to do in this episode? They must be here for something.
I thought they were going to burn things to the ground, because immediately when Stan said, "Oh, we're going to prank people," I thought, "Oh God, no."
No, like I had a suspicion they were here.
Everything.
I had a suspicion they were there for something, but I didn't know what, and I was like, oh. When it became, more clear as to their purpose in the episode.
Yeah, what's even better too is that the word honesty is used in the sense that, look, it's not even saying that you can't compliment or flirt with people just so long as they know that's where it's ending or where else it's going, but not in the idea that, oh, yes, no, I want to date every single one of you. That's the thing where, in life, honesty is a huge thing. Letting people understand and know what the situation is. Where Dipper, because he didn't understand that yet, he was just getting numbers from every girl. Strangely enough, on his arm. Not sure if each other girl saw that after he got it.
I thought that was duly an oversight, not only in the sense of what you're pointing out, like wouldn't someone see the numbers, but also that he went into a hot spring with Stan, and apparently
and
the numbers still stayed, and I was like, wow, those are some really permanent ink numbers you got on your hands there, Dipper, my boy. But
yes, but still, I
you mentioned
really
Dipper's like not understanding the idea of like the numbers and all that. His internal conflict in this episode was really enjoyable for me because it shows that at his heart, as we are to know, Dipper is a good person. And when he was following Stan, it was just the idea of like, in a way I look up to this man, and I'm going to follow his advice because he seems to be good at what he's doing.
But what's
not
great
like I want to hurt people. He was the opposite of that.
Yes, what's even better is that Stan also learned a valuable lesson.
Yeah,
now, I'm not saying that everyone should sit back and go, what if she becomes a spider beast? I understand. Like, that might not happen most of the time. No one can ever confirm anything 100%.
I can attest to the fact that you should probably not rule that out completely.
That's what I was going to say. Like, I'm not going to ever rule anything out completely in the world that we live in. I'm just going to say that 9 times out of 10, that will not happen. However, the idea of, I guess, karma in a weird way, it is a bit of karma. It's just the idea that, again, you really shouldn't be leading people on, in that way, et cetera, et cetera. You also, it's an interesting message, too, where it's like, hey, before you go into the woods with someone you don't know them.
Yeah, it was.
That was also subtly there as well.
It was a nice twist on general plot play too, because it would have been really weird for this specific show to have had Stan succeed with the women in that way, where it's just like, wow, sleazy pickup line gets the girl into the thing. I was like, that's not something they would do. Now again, this is the same thing with Candy and Grenda, where I'm like, they're here for something, but I don't know what. It's like something's going to happen, but I don't know what. I did not expect, Spider-Woman destruction of all this, and then her, like, cutting a promo on him. I didn't expect that whole thing to happen.
Yeah. No, because I expected when he said, "Oh yeah, those are just rumors, legends." And I was like, "Oh God, one's going to appear." She goes, "I don't think they are." Oh no, really? I was just like, "Oh, wait, she's gonna," and then she's a spider, and it's like, well, that's a thing.
It just made me laugh because I'm gonna rewatch it tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And there's going to be a lot of subtleties that I'm going to be like, God damn it, they did this on purpose.
You want to know my favorite line, which I hope is yours too? Let me slip into something more horrifying.
That was hilarious.
That is my favorite line. The actual act, though, what she did was terrifying. It really was horrifying. I could not believe they got away with that.
I enjoy that they do stuff like that because it really was like I'm wearing, this disguise as skin. Like I'm wearing human flesh on me, essentially. Because it wasn't like I think what made me kind of chuckle. Yeah, it wasn't like a morph or like a projection, like some kind of like hallucination. She literally like removed the skin, and I was
went inside out.
Right, and then when she flips it later on, she reverses it, and I was dying because I'm like, that's kind of nightmare fuel, and that's really cool.
It only freaks me out so much because, although it freaked me out because, again, it's the way the flipping worked. But I also find it very interesting that it feels as if Alex Hirsch really has to just sit there, maybe he even chuckles to himself, because all he has to hear, he asked Disney over and over again, just, so no blood. Yes, that's our only concern. No blood is your only concern. Yes, no blood is our only concern. We cannot have large or any really amount of blood on our show. We've mentioned this to you before. You fought for it. Do you really want blood that badly? Oh, no, I'm just curious if only blood is the issue. Yes, Mr. Hirsch,
and then he presents this to them, and they're like, we need to put this all in writing for you. Like, Alex Hirsch is the reason we're never going to have shows like these again. Because in the contract for Disney shows, there will be, you cannot on TV display a human woman morphing into a spider. When does that ever happen? It's like the jokes when you and I sit there. Why is that a rule? That had to have happened once, right? And never again.
I was going to say that. I was going to say that, like on microwavable objects. Please do not put head in microwave and eat mashed potatoes while in microwave. Who did that?
Right, like what one person did. And never again, because apparently we have to put the fucking warning down. Because
they sued them. You didn't say that putting my head in there would have me gain superpowers only relative to my head.
It reminds me of when like you buy shoes or anything and there's like those little gel packets in there, and in big bold letters it's do not eat, do not consume, please do not eat. And I die because I'm like, how many people?
I actually did eat those once because I thought they're clearly hiding something from me. And for a full day until I digested them, I could fly. I could fly for one full day, and I was like, fuck you guys. I knew they were hiding something from me, so when I ate them, until I fully digested them, I could fly.
Matt was
great.
on fucking Smile Dip for a day.
No, man, I could fly. It was perfect.
Matt was on fucking Smile Dip. He was high as a kite.
No, I could fly, man. It was great.
No, really. Matt injects the ganja every day.
I inject it. I inject one marijuana every day.
I like that you've heard me say that joke like 10 times, and every time I say it still gets you to laugh.
I forgot that you said that. It's just the general, if you inject one marijuana, be careful.
Right, like that kind of phrase. I'm hardcore, man. I inject them out. I'm like, wow. That's an amazing thought. But
I think I'm actually worried. Like, I know someone who injects several marijuana a day, and I'm trying to get the person to cut down to injecting no marijuana, to just injecting air. Because remember, air bubbles can't hurt you. It's just air.
Wow. That joke got dark.
Here's a clarification. Air can hurt you. Don't fucking inject air into yourself.
Air. If you watch any horror movie ever, the air bubbles kill you in the IVs.
Actually, it's not even a horror movie thing. I don't remember. I think I heard that from one of those Law and Order shows where it was just like she injected them with air, and I'm like, wait, what? And then it was explained to me, and I thought...
Air bubbles in your bloodstream can kill you. As a pre-med student, this is actually something that I used to kind of be amused by. And, like, I saw it in horror films where, like, they'd be there in an IV shacked up. It's like, what are you doing? And they just inject air. I'd be like, what the it's just air. What? And then the air bubbles going in.
Because even the horror movies you watch seem higher class than mine. Like, I watch people cut off... Like, I watch a dude in a hockey mask cut off fucking campers, fucking Crystal Lake heads, and you're like...
The scene I'm thinking of is actually, to my knowledge, in the remake of The Omen in 2006, which is a really shitty movie.
That's why I didn't see it.
It was a really shitty movie. I saw it because I liked a girl at the time who was like, let's go see The Omen. I think it's going to scare me. And I remember thinking to myself, this looks really stupid. Walking out, this was really stupid. But more
There's a reason why you're not with her now.
Yeah.
That Omen, man. It's The Omen.
Yeah, it's just that. There's a scene where the older lady who's defending Damien, the evil, is basically she's going to kill the mother shacked up in the hospital, and she's like on her last legs on an IV and everything, and she basically just pinches it to create an air bubble, and it just slowly approaches her, and she's like screaming for help, and then she's sleeping peacefully. But,
that was a joke. Don't fucking do that. Don't fucking, no air bubbles. Like, air bubbles in your blood are bad. Don't fucking do that. Air, it's the only reason, like, you said
I was really hoping you were going to say, air is bad, and I would have lost it.
No, no, but when you said it was amusing, I only agree because it is crazy, though, where it's just like, so if I inject water into me, it's not meant to be there. Water is good. Air is good. They're not meant to be in other places of your body. It's crazy, but it's accurate.
And to be fair, if you inject water, be careful, because the point about injecting liquids is that, and this is my science side coming out, they have to be able to match what's going on in your actual bloodstream. Because
in that area.
If the water is too, concentrated, if it's not neutral, too salty or less, it'll cause the blood vessels to either, shrink and die or swell up and burst and then, die. So be very careful with injecting things ever. Apparently that's what I'm saying here on a Gravity Falls podcast. So bring it back to Gravity Falls. Yeah, I think we have to make that very clear.
I'll bring it back to Gravity Falls. Yeah, so again, the overall message was a beautiful one, because you sometimes feel like, certain people who were, bullied in high school and things like that, or, elementary school, will then be writers one day, let's say. And it can happen if they're not writers, too, but you're writers one day, and all of a sudden it's kind of written in the way where it's just, the jock, such a terrible person. And it kind of feels like that weird, you know what I'm talking about, right? Where it's like, why in this narrative only the jock or only the muscled person or only... So in this case, I was really worried I was going to be like, only the confident person is terrible, So once it was like, I can fake confidence, but I have to use it for good, I was very, very, very happy, because that's a great message. Because, as someone who's, it is hard for me to talk to people sometimes. It would be really bad if someone tried to tell me, no, just don't fake confidence. Wait, but then you have to have confidence. No, but at first you can't. Confidence doesn't. You have to fake it. Confidence doesn't pop up. You have to train yourself. And so Stan had a good point of train yourself by talking to people. But the idea of only to women, right? Talking to women, and then, or the opposite sex, right? And not being honest and not letting them know, hey, this is me talking to you as a friend, right? We can totally get your number and we can totally hang out sometime, versus, Dipper just possibly complimenting them the entire time, knowing what he was doing, getting their number. Again, I said before, didn't know what he was doing, in the sense that I don't think he did this with malicious intent. But at the same time, I do believe after a while he knew what he was doing. With Candy, I don't think he did. I thought he thought, this is a simple compliment. That kind of went off the rails.
Yeah,
but
still, it was just it was really interesting. Yeah. But I like that they developed that with Candy for a bit, because with Candy and Grenda, he didn't necessarily know what he was doing. It was just that's walking by with confidence, I'm the big man on campus thing.
Yeah.
But it was really important to emphasize, one, little things can have big impact.
Mm-hmm.
So be aware of what you say, who you say to all the time. And also, I thought it was something that like, okay, speaking from experience, I know a lot of people, guys and girls alike, who react very favorably to little things. You know, where like one little compliment can really make them feel good about themselves. And it's just like a 1, they noticed me, 2, they complimented me, 3, you know, they speak well, I do think they look well, and then like it piles on, you know? And so with Candy, it was like, wow, Dipper does all these cool things, Dipper's smart, and he just complimented me. Like, I figured it just all came together and was like, wow, I think I might like Dipper. And it was, you know, it was said that way later on, which is like, it just kind of started, and I liked that. It wasn't like I've liked him forever, and it's like, where was this undertone ever? It was never stated. It was like, no, I think this is starting.
Yeah, sometimes I worry, you know, some shows do that, it's really bad, in my opinion, because I don't see undertones. You know, like, let's say there's 2 characters that I don't ship, right? Now, I'm not saying that it's a problem that someone might ship 2 characters, right? But I don't see undertones, and it doesn't seem like the show is outwardly trying to do certain undertones, minus, you know, like a little thing, but nothing major. Maybe a joke, or maybe it's one-sided, yada, 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 right? All of a sudden, out of nowhere, it's like, and then they're together. And I'm sitting here like, wait, what? And then I talk to someone who ships them and says, but it's been there all along. You know, in this case, it was never there all along. My opinion, anyway. There was really no undertones whatsoever.
Like, there was enough to facilitate them actually talking. Like, okay, maybe they can talk. We've seen enough of each other. But for them, if it was just magically to end up as, like, we are dating now, I'd be like, whoa. That's a, like, Vince Russo twist. And what I mean by that is, like, it's a twist just to have a twist and not necessarily a positive one at all.
Exactly. One thing that talking about the episode as a whole, though, getting away from the message that I love and we'll probably reference again later, I really enjoyed the concept of, you know what, they pranked us, let's go prank them. The problem, of course, with Stan is not knowing what a prank is, so going so over the top. Granted, the Seuss thing was pretty bad when they told me, like, they tied Seuss to the roof. That's pretty bad, I'm going to admit. But, man, did he fuck up everyone's everything. All over Oregon.
And they returned the favor.
I love it. Just, I didn't deserve this in any way. And I'm like, oh, my God, Stan. But it's good because it kind of shows you, you know, even though technically it's like, well, they started it, still, it's been brought back to Stan. You know, eye for an eye makes the whole world blind, et cetera, et cetera. A lot of good morals, fun stuff, where it's not even like looking too in between. It's like, well, you know, Stan didn't get away with it, you know? Even though it technically happened to Stan first, still, it's not like Stan was able to do it and everyone's like, oh, see, it's all okay. You know, it's just, no, that was bad, and a bad thing happened to him. Karma, again, all about karma, and yeah. So what did you think about the whole traveling around Oregon to...
I thought it was really okay. You know, when we joke around in general, we said, like, who the fuck thinks of these things? Like, who said, like, because Hirsch is sitting there, like, you know, episode that's gonna have a subplot going on there, but the main plot, they're just gonna be rolling around Oregon, fucking with stuff. Really, just fucking with everything, basic attractions. Because Stan's like, you know what? Fuck all of you. The Mystery Shack should be the only thing. Like, okay, let's do it.
I have to admit, we all should really admire Stan's dedication to his job that we now know came out of nothing.
Yeah, like, Stan has become, like, a legit, like, Stan is legit. That's all I can think of. I know that's not even grammatically as perfect as it could be.
No, it's actually,
but Stan
really
is
funny.
Legit.
Stan has become legit at hustling people for money.
Right?
Because
and
it's still hustling, in theory.
Depth to, like, keep that going.
But what I like is it's still less hustling than what he used to do, where, you know, the whole, like, everything that used to, like, hurt you or kill your cattle, whatever it is that you had that didn't work, that could possibly hurt you, your livelihood, your clothes. Now it's just, hey, come to this tourist attraction. It's actually really tame, and it's nice.
No, it is really funny that's now resulted in that. But because of that, he's like, must kill the competition. And what did we have? We had a giant ball of yarn, which he unraveled. We had the upside down house, which they turned right side up.
What a nice, normal, right side up home.
No! What was the last one? Outside, was it just the Mystery Mountain after that, or was there one more? I feel like there's one more.
There were others that I think we didn't see on screen.
Yeah, because there were multiple people there at the end.
Yes, but the Mystery Mountain one was the next one, which they really didn't mess much, unless you want to call the whole, like... By the way, I love that the giant man with the axe was the one we've been seeing a lot in the opening and around Gravity Falls.
Yeah, the giant Paul Bunyan. Oh, by the way, that was great.
Yeah,
I don't know if you're up there, but please save me if you can, Paul Bunyan. I was like, fucking shit.
Because I sat there, I was like, wait, who is he talking about? Because I'm sitting there, I'm like, is he gonna make who would be up there that he would make a joke about? And he said,
yeah,
because
I knew he wouldn't. I knew he wasn't gonna actually say God, but for a moment, I was like, wow, that would have been, if they went through with that line as is, like just about like him basically implying like, I hope you're up there, can you help me?
Yes.
I'd have been like, wow, that's kind of deep. Because that's a pretty serious thought.
Yeah, no. Stan is either going to go for a really funny reference or Satan.
Mm-hmm. But he can't do that on Disney Channel, so.
No. But what I was going to say was, what's really funny is, I didn't realize that is a giant Paul Bunyan. Because in my head I was like, Paul Bunyan, giant, that's funny. Didn't really connect that that's Paul Bunyan. And in theory, in the end, Paul Bunyan did save him. So it all came full circle.
Yeah.
God, this is a weird episode, man. I loved it to death, but by God, this is a weird episode.
There were a lot of good one-liners, too, in there. What was the fucking train thing down called? Do you remember? The slow tram down?
No, but it was essentially just now I can't remember.
I love that it talked back to him. That's what made me laugh so much.
Because I think it's because I would assume, right, that it's the guy in one of the booths that we saw as they were all running by people.
Mm-hmm.
I assume it's actually one of those people doing it live because they just don't have the money to record it. Or they don't have the funds to have it play. So it's literally just, hello everyone, here I am today going on the slow tram. That's not what it was called.
Yeah, no, I loved it too much. It's like, can't this thing go any faster? No, because it's a slow tram. I was like, fuck! But it was really funny, actually.
Yes.
So
also, no Ford, but again, we didn't need him, right? Though I wonder if that's an indication of, because even though we did have Dungeons, and More Dungeons, we did have slight plot in there. So this is the first episode with no plot in terms of, any potential future stuff happening in terms of, oh no, I know his name. Wow, what's wrong with me? Bill Cipher. Oh God, did I install that steel plate? What the fuck? Anyway, so I just forgot Bill's name. No, but seriously, nothing involving Bill. So that's interesting. I wonder if this is one of those episodes, and certain shows do this. I wonder if this is one of those episodes where they planned it so it could be either put at any point during the show. Obviously, it's post-Wendy. But I'm saying that a lot of it, there was nothing in the episode, I would argue, that could have made this that made it good. No, this has to be after Ford's introduced. It made no reference to Ford. Alex tweeted something out that said something about, not non-canon. He said something close to that, and I want to confirm it before I say something. Probably as a joke, but yeah.
No, he actually said, okay, I'll find the tweet for you in a moment because I was bringing it up to mention it.
Yes.
Because he tweeted on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. Just a heads up, guys. Tomorrow's episode is a totally continuity-free one-off episode. Just a little break before things go off the rails in the next episode.
Okay, so it's not that it's non-canon. Continuity-free as in, this isn't going to be about Bill or Ford. But what I'm trying to get at... Yeah,
continuity-free is like a fancy filler word.
Yes, filler word, yes. But the reason why I bring it up is because I think I've talked to you about this with Doctor Who, I believe. This was about 2 years ago, I'm going to say, they did a thing where one of the episodes, they had 2 episodes and they switched them. They also had a mid-season finale thing going on at the time, right? So they switched the episode order because essentially the episodes really didn't matter when one aired compared to when the other one aired. However, even though they did flip them around, they had an after-episode bumper because I told you they do every year. Usually they have a main villain that they foreshadow during the run. So they had the thing that, for her to foreshadow what was going on. But other than that, the entire episode was literally switched with one that happened post mid-season finale.
Oh. Well,
it was very intriguing.
Did something like that too. Not necessarily exactly like that, but the idea is they basically had things that were not required to be in a certain place, and they moved them out of the first season into the second season because it didn't matter.
Yes, a lot of shows can do that. And, in this case with Doctor Who, minus that one little bumper thing that they had that happened, I think it was mid-episode this time, or whatever, it's actually like a post-production thing. It's a long story, but basically people would have, a person would have visions of things that weren't really there, that were bleeding into her. Yeah, so it was a post-production thing. So it'd be like if you looked at the wall and someone's face appeared and just said something to you that made no sense and then disappeared. Right? That, not like in your wall, but it would be like a slide door in your wall. Like you're just sitting down, you're just doing whatever right now. It opened up. Hey, be very careful. Slides. What the fuck? Nothing to do with what's going on. So because of those, they were able to slide them in kind of anywhere in theory because the episodes, Doctor Who sometimes can be very episodic. So it works out. In this case, this episode was extremely episodic, had nothing to do with Ford, so in theory, it could have been flipped with another episode pre-season finale, in theory. Because some episodes didn't really have, no, because Sock Puppet had Bill. Because I think there's at least one episode pre-mid-season finale that if they had to switch it with, I'm sure they could have. I'm pretty sure they could have. I can't think of any off the top of my head, but that's what they usually do.
Yeah, no, it was totally a matter, and also why I wanted to say that, Alex tweet, is I assume it's a subtle confirmation that the next episode that we get, which is not confirmed date-wise as of this time, is going to be story relevant and is going to hurt.
It has to be because if this series, this season, thinking of series because Doctor Who has called it a series. So this season, if it ends at 21 episodes, even 22 being the longest, there's still, let's say 21, right? There's 4 episodes left.
Yeah, because the first one was 20 or 21, I think.
This is
20? 60, yeah.
This one, the last season was 20 because one of them got removed, one of the episodes, the Bowie one.
Which was the David
episode.
Bowie, Pants. What a shame.
Yeah. Yes. It's called, were you going to say Pan's Labyrinth?
Yeah.
No, Labyrinth. Pan's is Guillermo del Toro.
Right. I know I said something wrong in my head, but I'm I know David Bowie was the theme. Because I know... Because we discussed
Labyrinth. You are half correct.
Children would get David Bowie in Labyrinth. But in my head, Pan's Labyrinth. No, that's not it, Satish. That's something else.
Well, to be fair, kids wouldn't get Pan's Labyrinth either. I'm going to be honest.
No, they would get Labyrinth
right.
and Pan's Labyrinth. F that.
Oh, good.
They got this episode.
They would have had a reference in Pan's Labyrinth. In that episode, to be fair.
There were lots of little references in this episode. There was Smokey the Bear, which I think was my favorite line in the episode.
Actually, I do have that one written down over the other line. It's perfect. Just, oh, God, let me look at the line right now. Fire retardant raccoon says, don't hug forest fires.
When he said, don't hug forest fires, I lost it. That was my favorite line of the episode. Don't hug forest fires. I was like, fuck, how did you? Because it's just in my head, I'm that was a really good Smokey the Bear amalgam reference. Just I'm going to give you a hug. Don't start forest fires. Alex in his head, so I shouldn't hug forest fires, is what you're saying. And I'm fucking shit, that's the kind of joke we would make. I'm that's genius. So I loved it.
Yeah.
I really did love that. And the slow tram one. And also just the very, like, simple joke, but just earlier when he's like, I'm unraveling, Grunkle Stan. Like, I can't find the good analogy right now. And they're unraveling the yarn in the back. I was like, fuck you guys. That was funny.
Those are some of my favorite jokes in some shows that I'm not going to sit here and say are some of my favorite shows. Like, even in something like Family Guy, right? Some of the background, the behind, the, things going on in the background humor is some of the funniest stuff in the world to me. Just a simple conversation. And then in the background, it's just World War III. But they can't see it, or they have no idea it's going on, or just general things like that. So, yeah, lines like that or scenes like that, I love them so much.
So you like the yarn line a lot, or the lack of yarn line.
The lack of, because just I can't think of it right now, and it's right there. It's like, oh my God, it's perfect. I enjoyed the upside down house because I enjoyed the like I enjoyed the ability where it's like, oh yeah, you have to put on the special shoes because that's how it works. How else would you be attached? So it's like, so you're upside down, and everything, and again, you're seeing everything as if you're right side up. And apparently the gift shop is where you have to unhook yourself. Where it's like, okay, we're all done with the gimmick.
Where he fell into the gift shop because he was so excited about. That was a subtle thing that made me laugh too. He jumped for joy, but he's in the fucking upside down house, so he really jumped to his doom.
Yeah, no, when he jumped, I was like, oh wait, God, no.
It was funny. I don't know how his hat stayed on, but I think that's something I think they really enjoyed doing, where it's like, so his hat's gonna fall? No, Dipper had that thing down. Because why the hell? Yeah, why are we gonna? That's not something for me to nitpick. But I mean, the episode. If you got half hour to actually discuss the content, not like we haven't, but
no, I mean we've been discussing it. Yeah,
I really I think it's interesting that Dipper picked it up so easily and then he just found success because I was like, wow, that totally is it was really funny when Stan was talking to Dipper and he was basically laying out, you got to be a little annoying, you got to be this, you got to be that, you got to have confidence. I'm like, I actually really understand that. And I wanted to give the writers credit because I really liked the way they phrased that. I really did. Because as general advice on how, in my opinion, guys talk to girls, that was a pretty good wrap-up. And,
and we're not,
I'm not looking to argue with anyone on,
Well, no, because what I was going to say is, I don't like the jerk part, but sadly there are cases where it works. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say, we must rally to never let it work, because I'm not going to tell you to change who you are on the side of the woman or just the person who says, well, you know what, that, you know what I mean? This is who I am. I don't want to sit here and be like, no, you have to change yourself, because, we're not going to start a rally here right now, right?
No, but I'm going to stick to it because, look, I know as far as my experiences have showed me, and I know that I've seen it work more often than not. Now, I'm not specifically saying be a jerk, it works. But I'm saying that general concept, the idea of being a bit confident, be funny, be a little annoying, but not in a way to make them feel bad or not to make them hate you, And it's just, I really was impressed at the way that they were able to wrap that up in a little bubble. Because it does kind of work, that playfulness. And I think that's why it made me feel weird, because, I think on the 200th podcast that we did, where we talked a little bit about ourselves, at least for the final 20 minutes or so,
right.
I talked a bit about how I learned sports to fit in with the guys, and that whole situation there. But also what I had to pick up over the years was not only in general how to talk to people, but how to talk to girls I liked, and so I had to manage looking at people, not as old as Stan, but very much in the mold of Stan, of how is it so easy for them and why is it hard for me? Because I was a lot like Dipper earlier in the episode, where it's okay, I see someone I want to talk to, she looks pretty, so let me try talking to her, and then I just can't do it, or I just never do it, I just don't. So I really I felt weird because I sat there and I was like, wow, I wonder if that, that was me, where, like, did people look at me negatively? Like, when, like, did people, and this is, like, a bit younger, and, like, I felt like, I don't know, I mean, I talk in general to my friends about how I feel like I used to be a scum.
Makes you feel any better, that's how I still am.
No, but, like, there's something to it that made me feel
I mean,
like,
but I'm saying just the idea, the idea of, like,
No, like, but you don't sit there and you're not trying to talk to like, multiple women, like, all at once and juggle that. Like, right now you're in.
Yes, because I got lucky. Like, Lady Luck is usually on my side.
Yeah, I see your counter argument. I do.
That's what I'm trying to say. No, because you're not trying to talk to multiple. Well, there were times when I was single and I was trying to talk to one.
No, I get it. I get it.
Yeah,
because it was weird, but not in a bad way. Like, not insulting the show. I'm just like, wow, they really they got to me in a weird way, I guess, because it was something that was really relatable, and that's why I felt weird. But I was like, wow, that's relatable. I remember that. I remember being there. I remember struggling, like Dipper, because like I sit there and laughably, it's like Dipper's the kind of guy that's going to grow up and do a podcast. I'm not even kidding. I really see that, and I say that complimentary. Like, he's the kind of guy who's articulate,
Dipper's going to grow up to be Ronaldo.
Yeah, I think with a bit more. I was going to say Ronaldo's rougher. Finesse is the exact word I was looking for. I love you so much.
Thank you. Love you too,
I really was, and I just sat there for a moment, like, how the fuck do I describe finesse without? I'm like, I have the concept in my head. And you said finesse, and I'm like, I love him. Finesse, because Ronaldo's rough around the edges. But, so I enjoyed that aspect where I can sit there and be like, wow, Dipper reminds me a lot of myself when I was younger, and that kind of makes sense. And I liked the overall scope of it. Like, all right, you can find success doing that, but and I think that's a nice lesson for the kids. That's why earlier I was talking about, like, preteens and people who are young teenagers, all that stuff. You can find success by emulating some of those strategies. But you have to consider people's feelings. You have to consider people's feelings. You have to consider what you're doing. Be aware of what you're doing and who you're doing it to. And also the idea... Wait, go ahead.
Because I'm going to say, one thing that Stan said, and you know what, I really realize it more so now when you say it too, just the idea of, like, not too much as a jerk, in the sense that, the problem is that, yes, the word jerk is still a bit of an issue. It's like, oh, you mean partially jerk? But again, there's an annoying playfulness that people can have with each other to emulate, certain connections and bonds that some people have over years. And again, so we shouldn't really sit here and say, oh, that's wrong if you know. There are, people can, have whatever kind of relationships they want to, right? So the idea is that, again, a little bit. So there are some people, sadly, that do say to take it too far, and they do it in this way where it's just, oh, what you have to do is you have to give a woman a compliment and then put them down. And it's like, that's not what anyone was saying there.
Right. There's a lot of different schools of thought about how to talk to the opposite sex. And in the sense of, like, and even to the same sex, to be fair, the idea here is, like, romantic relationships. So, like, if you're a guy talking to a guy, same thing. How do you approach someone that you are romantically interested into? I should be fair, because I know I said opposite sex earlier, but I don't want to sound like homophobic.
As did I. No. Yeah, I only mentioned it in this case because this is Dipper with the opposite sex and Grunkle Stan with the opposite sex. Yeah,
of course. Like, we're talking about the situations we saw on screen. I just want to clarify because I don't want anyone to think. But so like the idea of talking to someone of like who you're romantically interested in, it's just hard for anyone. And I like to use the word playful because that's the biggest thing for me, where, like, I wouldn't call it being a jerk. I know how I talk to people who I'm interested in, and some people will playfully call me like, oh, you're a jerk, but not many people are actually, at least now, are like, you are an actual jerk, go die.
It really depends on how far you go, and I think that, Grunkle Stan, while, again, like, even Dipper to a certain degree, like, it's still a problem because we brought it back to that honesty that you mentioned, thinking about people's feelings that I mentioned earlier, just honesty, being honest with someone, right? Not playing them for a fool, not playing them in general, honesty. But the whole jerk thing, I mean, again, it's nice to hear at the end of the episode, man, I should still use it for good anyway, to know that the jerk thing isn't like you really shouldn't, you know what I mean? Like, again, playful, okay, but still, there is a way that you really should sometimes, because, again, you don't, sometimes it's just like, you might have a person, like, a guy might come up to me, Matt, how do you talk to women? And I'll sit there and I'll say, like people, right? And it can work because it's just like, yes, like a person. You don't think of, like, this mystical, like, oh, but, if I say, it's not like you're trying to summon an eternal dragon, Like, what if I say the magic, what?
No, just go on.
No, but it's accurate, you know what I mean? Like, it just, like a person, right? You talk to a person. You talk to people. Now, if you barely talk to anyone, then we can have a conversation, right? But if you're just like, I talk to people all the time. How do I talk to women? You talk to them. You're not speaking Namekian. You're talking to them. Although, depending on the crowd, Namekian might work.
Actually, yeah, and some might Klingon, honestly. But
oh, yeah.
It's definitely something that I enjoy that they addressed, and I like that it's something that would come up for somebody of that age range, and honestly it would come up for Dipper, because we see throughout the series that Mabel just recklessly is like, yo, I'm Mabel, you love me.
Yes. I like that, by the way, Wendy is still on his mind, because first off, I'm happy that they address that. It's really funny how, in theory, this really does work out well with mentioning, like, being right after the episode where Wendy.
Yeah, they immediately were like, let's just put that to, let's put that to the forefront, and let's mention that.
But
the Dipper's trying to get over it.
Yes, but to be fair, it does work right after, the whole Wendy not happening thing, too. Like, it still works after that, because the idea is that even after this, like, he was trying to find ways to cope. So, in theory, damn this. It does work here. Damn. But at the same time, it's still a thing where, like, it is a good coping mechanism. Go out, get out there. It helps, of course. But, at the same time, he might sit there and still have her on his mind. And it's not the worst thing in the world because he's still single, to be fair. Right? And
so
12.
is she.
Yes.
To my knowledge.
Yeah, right. Well, I would hope she wouldn't get back with freaking, oh, God. I feel the shows are really starting to all become one to me. Because instead of hearing Ravi, my first sentence was Lars. And I'm like, nope, not here, not today, wrong podcast.
But we'll get to that.
Yeah, right, we will. Not Wendy and Lars. But anyway, yeah,
no,
so this was a very nice topic. Too much crossover. This was a very nice topic for them to address, I think. Very interesting to have it be, the whole, oh yeah, even the box under your bed, Wendy pictures pop out. Because that's, because life, I like the idea, and some shows do this, and it's funny because some people try to say when a show revisits something that they used to do, right? I feel like some people do this, and it's so silly what happens. Didn't they get over that already? Life isn't checkpoints. You can try to make certain things in your life checkpoints, like, okay, did this job today, did homework, did this, did that, wrote this paper. But when it comes to real things like emotions and certain things, it feels like it's coming from people who haven't experienced certain things themselves, not trying to put people down. But I'm trying to say it in a way where it just feels silly sometimes, where, like, this is readdressed, this is what he says readdressed. And people at home, oh, my God, he didn't get over that already? It's like, do you? Right?
That's
do you
exactly
just take,
like, do you get over that stuff? Because I don't.
In a day?
Yeah, like, it
like
happens. And
yeah.
also, remember, this is all over the course of one summer, if you want to put that in your mental perspective. This is one summer they've been doing. It's not like it's been a year and Dipper's like, Wendy. No, this is all one summer. So put that in perspective for you. If you had a crush and you got turned down and you were in the summer, it's still, it's still going to be fresh in your mind a little bit.
It's been 3 years for us. We've been experiencing this for 3 years. They're still in one summer. So,
yeah,
but thank you.
I can't realize it's been that long. My God.
but I'm happy that they're definitely thinking, let's
Oh
do
my
these sooner
God, how
rather
long have
than
I known
later.
you?
Oh, for a while, man. It's scary. We'll talk about that after the show.
Shit.
I think about that a lot sometimes. I'm just like,
I think
man,
you
I've
just
known you
lost
for a
me.
while.
Like, I'm really glad we're almost done, because I think I just went down the rabbit hole and I'm fucked.
To be fair, I think I have known you, though, for 3 years and a little bit longer, to be fair, because I know I met you in 2012 because we started talking about wrestling, and that's how I started watching again, to be fair. So I haven't known you for 4 or 5 years. We didn't watch CM Punk's pipe bomb together.
No, I watched that alone and told you, hey, watch this guy because this. And here we are.
And then I started. Yeah. Basically, and then I got sucked into the rabbit hole. Of WWE. I would say pro wrestling, but it's like wrong. Sports entertainment. That's
well,
what
you kind of did,
Mr. McMahon
did. You became a more educated fan, not only about WWE but about other promotions.
Yeah.
And you ask a lot of questions, which is great because I love people who ask questions. The only person who I may hate that involves questions is the Gravity Falls bumper guy that says so many questions. I would
only
love to
because it doesn't always work. When it works, it's hilarious and it's so relevant. When it doesn't work, it's just like, oh my God, no. There's no questions. No one said shit.
Right, exactly. It's like, what are we doing here? Oh, we'll just make the cut here. So many questions. Shut up. Just shut up.
It's really worked, though, a lot in the past, and it's made me laugh hard when it works. Like during plot-heavy episodes, you know when it worked a lot? When I started watching it again live, and I was able, it was on my DVR, right? And I was watching the one where they first had Ford and Stan, right?
That's
the one
the only one where it's ever worked.
No, the one after that where they were explaining stuff for them. Because when they were back there, and then also I think before it, during the mid-season finale, I think they also had so many questions guy. I think he was still there, the bumper guy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there are episodes where it's perfect, and it's like, wow, this is amazing. And it also shows you, as I mentioned in another show of ours, they really are caring about this show. And I like that. Like, you could even tell with this episode the way it was written. I feel like Season 1 had a lot more, Season 1 was still amazing, had a lot more hands in it, picking out lines like no. But now it's making them so much money, or at the very least they have this rabid fan base that even though it might not be translating to, like 5 million or, 6 million viewers on live television, they may make up for it through DVR, through general internet interest, through DVD sales. I don't know how well the DVDs did, but to be fair, there are Gravity Falls DVDs that are actually, they only show up as volumes, but there are 2 out so far, I believe. I know one is, and they actually have the episodes in order. I love the Steven Universe one that they released, but for
it's not
Network,
in order.
It's not. It is in order minus 2 episodes.
Yeah, but
that's
I have
the problem.
it, and that kind of weird. What was I going to say? Oh, yeah, kind of ending it on that thought. Like, there is a little bit more of, there's definitely more freedom where, like, the filler gets to do whatever they want. And I enjoy it. I mean, this is continuity-free. This episode, it was what it was. And, like, we had our charming stuff. It was a bit harsher than I thought, but I liked it. I mean, Stan at the end, I really enjoyed him basically opening up. Just like, look.
Yes.
I suck. And this comes into play with one of the two, ciphers at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Cipher? Did I say that right? I'm an idiot, right?
Yes, you did. What cipher?
Yeah, no, because there was the cipher and then there was the encode. And,
okay.
So, the encode was Seuss reference to Homeward Bound, which was kind of amusing. I'll read that in a moment, but I want to read the one that's for Stan, because...
okay.
Yeah, here we go. Carla McCorkle returned all his flowers. Marilyn divorced him after only 6 hours. Beatrice slapped him for being a cad. Old Goldie's the best girlfriend Stan has ever had. And you remember Goldie is the...
Yes.
Yeah.
The Spider-Woman.
No.
Oh.
Think back to the statue. Do you remember when they went to Vegas together?
Oh my God! For fuck's sakes. Yeah.
Yeah. Darlene was the was the Spider-Woman.
Right. Yes. I know.
But so that was one of the. I believe that was the end card.
Mm-hmm.
Like the one with the picture that fits into that large overarching picture that's been building up over and over.
Okay.
And the other one was about Seuss. It was a Homeward Bound reference where it says, Seuss, like a noble golden retriever, eventually found his way homeward and befriended a talking bulldog and sassy cat along the way. Which I thought was really cute. The code is Dopper for anyone who wants to look it up themselves.
Okay.
Dopper.
So
from when he says, "My name is Dopper."
Right.
You can find it on the museum walls. But yeah.
So we would like to thank you guys for listening to those guys. Very happy to have you guys listening along. We don't know when the next episode will air for Gravity Falls, but when it'll air, we'll be there. That's simple. Very happy that we're going back to a live format. Should keep that going for a while now. If not, then it won't. That's
I love
how we
live
roll.
formats. They feel so much fresher.
They do. Though it's funny because we don't cut necessarily. We just have like little tiny monologues where like if for some reason we're having technical difficulties or something or other, you're able to kind of be on. Like we'll talk for 10 minutes-ish, and then we'll go into it. But very rarely is the non-live format a huge issue. It's just I have to cut it up, and that's always terrible. But I've gotten more used to it, so if it happens, it's not the worst thing in the world. But I do like the live format. I do like being able to talk about something, while it's happening. Gravity Falls just happened. Also, we waited long enough so that the ciphers were decoded. If we did it at 8:30, I think it would have been a bit, harmful to the entire.
I'm not on cipher decoding duty anymore.
Yeah.
I just can't. So I want to thank. I do want to shout out the good people at Reddit for Gravity Falls for getting that out there. I did not decode those myself. I found that on the Reddit, so thank you, good people of Reddit.
Yeah, because it's very quick. I mean, the show just aired at 8 in our time, right? EST, and we started the show at 11:30.
About 3 hours later, you guys had it all down.
Boom. So that was wonderful. We have to blah, 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 blah. Damn it, live, even though we never really do retakes anyway. Damn it, live, I'll blame it on live. Live TV.
We don't even do retakes when we're, it's funny. If
we don't.
Listen, do they do this over when they're... No, if we have a private show and Matt fucks up like that or I fuck up like that, we'll just keep going in the exact same way. So, it really doesn't make a difference outside of the opening.
Yeah, really. Or the ending a little bit, but usually it's the opening. So anyway, we would like to thank you all for listening to those guys. Going to talk about our different shows that we've done because we've done a hell of a lot. We've done WWE Monday Night Raw. We've done WWE pay-per-views. We've obviously done Gravity Falls. We've done Steven Universe. We've done Dragon Ball Z movies and Dragon Ball Z OVAs, as well as Dragon Ball Super. We have also done Bleach movies, Bleach OVAs, as well as Pokemon games, and we've done, I mentioned Gravity Falls and Steven Universe before. We've also done Mike Tyson Mysteries and Black Dynamite, along with Gotham, Arrow, Flash, Supernatural, Doctor Who, and many, many more. You can find all these older shows on our website, which is thoseguysonthe.radio.tumblr.com, along with Those Guys merchandise. That's right, Those Guys on the Radio merchandise. Buy it today or tomorrow. Or if you bought it yesterday, buy it again today or tomorrow. Go back in
something
time
I want to mention
yesterday.
before we cut off.
Yes.
Because Liz mentioned this to me now, I need to admit, and I see it on the Reddit as a possible date for the next Gravity Falls episode, which would be Monday, October 12th.
She's wonderful.
So thank you, Liz. Thank you, Reddit. And we're hoping that's it because that's not too far from now. Hey.
Too many questions. So our website being thoseguysonthe.radio.tumblr.com. You can also find new updates on our shows, not only on our website, but on our Facebook, /ThoseGuysOnTheRadio, our Twitter, @ThoseGuysRadio, as well as our Instagram, /ThoseGuysOnTheRadio. You can also find our older archived episodes in In iTunes? On iTunes? With iTunes?
On iTunes.
With the application? On iTunes. Yeah, and in the iTunes. All over the iTunes. Right? As some of the younger kids are calling it, being all happening and stuff. Yeah, those guys. Search up those guys. Bam, iTunes. Or go on YouTube. TGOTR. Bam. Old shows. I don't know what's up with Bam, but I like it. Bam.
You're now Mulagasi.
We could put that on a shirt. No one's copyrighted that. Fuck you for saying that. I'm so mad. I was gonna make a nice joke. No one does that, right?
I mean, they make
Bam
jokes
you.
about it everywhere. Futurama had the
yourself.
guy. They had the. I'm leaving forever.
See you tomorrow. See you for Raw tomorrow. Also, you
Fuck
can
you.
find us. Also, if you want to email us about their certain promotional opportunities, sponsorships, things like that, we would love to promote you on our show. You can email us at thoseguysontheradio@gmail.com. Also, both Satish and I have done wrestling podcasts that are exclusive to Bandcamp. So you can search up tgotr.bandcamp.com, and you can find some of our stuff exclusive for the low, low price of $1. So far, we've done 2 shows, one of them being WWE SummerSlam 2005, with the main event being Shawn Michaels versus Stevie Richards, as well as WWE Unforgiven, with the main event being John Cena versus Kurt Angle for the WWE title.
Also of 2005.
Yes, also 2005. Sorry about that. Yeah, so here we are, and we're about to end the show. So anything you want to say before we end it, Satish?
No, I think we're good. I actually really
All right,
like this
so
episode. Waiting for our
it was
off now. It's Dipper and Mabel versus the future.
God, I want that really badly in my life. All right, so thank you all for listening in, and good night. Say good night, Satish.
Good night, Satish.